What's up? Happy
Hey,
Wednesday, everybody. How's
happy
it going?
Wednesday. Matt and Corbin Nichols with us. Piada.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
All day, all day. I'm actually in a Piada right now. I'm out in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at our Forbes location. Incredible location. Just the biggest massive turnaround that we've seen from an operational training perspective. It's really a great thing to be able to witness. So super excited to be here live from inside of a restaurant too. It's kind of cool.
dude, that's amazing. You're in it, dude. You're in it. Walking the walk.
Doing what we can. Doing what we can. The great part is we have an awesome operations team here. And it's just cool. I'm really it's awesome to be where I'm sitting and I can see the whole line. I can see the hospitality, seeing people walk through the front doors, giving waves to us as we're here, just working. Like it's cool to see the environment and the interaction just really come to life, which I think is kind of what we're talking about today, right?
That's what we're talking about. Well, dude, we just dove right in, but we're gonna back it up. We're gonna back it up a second. Welcome everybody to Training Simplified Live. This is just a live show where we go live every single week. We talk all things training professionals, learning and development professionals, all things restaurant, retail, hospitality world. Sam and I run Training Simplified, and we were already doing this every single week, so we just decided to make it live and let other people kind of join in. So if people have any questions, feel free to drop anything in the chat. The chat is live. You can say hello, you can ask a question, whatever you want to do. Everyone is welcome to interrupt, say whatever you want to say. But we are super stoked today to be joined by our good friend Corbin Nichols, which is why we just dove in, because we're already talking all the time. Corbin is the Vice President of Restaurant Excellence at Piada Italian Street Food. Is that correct, Corbin? Did I get that right?
You crushed it. You nailed it.
Nice. So stoked. We're so stoked to have you here. And we're going to be talking all things today about scaling hospitality.
That's right. It's going to be a lot of fun too, because Corbin, we've been working with you for years, long before your time at Piada, but especially the past 3 years. And you've done so many things. I feel like this is a conversation that's going to go well over 1 hour, probably bleed into next week as well. We'll see though. There's so much to talk about because you take on so much and you run so much. So I'm excited to dive in with you because I feel like you do it the right way. You cover a lot of ground very quickly and you've proven results as you do it, which I think we're all excited to talk about and see, like, how do you do that and how have you approached it along the way? So it's going to be a fun conversation.
Oh, also, by the way, we're doing something crazy right now. Sorry, Corbin, sorry to interrupt, but we're also live on LinkedIn, which we've never done. So I don't know, maybe people are watching this on LinkedIn. I have no idea, but yeah, we're live on LinkedIn right now, which is for the first time ever. So what up, LinkedIn?
W's in the chat. What up, gang?
Maybe we should check it out. Maybe we should see.
It's
and so also one of the things that we do every week, we spotlight. Corbin, you were about to say something and I interrupted. I'm sorry. What were you about to say?
No, I was just going to say, I'm really excited to have this conversation today. With us, we all go way back. We've worked together in the past, but in general, we're just also friends, which is cool. So I'm sure for some people, it's going to be like peering into one of our normal conversations that we typically have anyways. So please feel free to reach out, ask any questions that anybody has, because we'll be happy to answer them along the way.
Awesome. So every week we do a spotlight, of a restaurant or something else. But right now we're doing all kind of like restaurant spotlights every week where Sam and I visit a different restaurant, talk about it, kind of take a look at it from a perspective of training, operations, learning and development, people development, and kind of talk about the business of that restaurant or some of our experiences with that specific brand, if it's a brand that we've partnered with. And so this week, very fittingly, Sam visited a Piada Italian Street Food in is it Cotswold?
Cotswold. Nailed it.
Cotswold, South Carolina.
North Carolina.
One of the
Raise
Carolinas.
up, man. Let's go. Come on.
Sam visited a Piada in Cotswold, North Carolina. Here's his experience. Let's go.
It's cold and it's raining, so let's go to Piada. The whole concept behind Piada was after Italian street food in Rimini, Italy. Even though I said we're coming in here because it's cold and rainy, it's delicious on a summer's day, which is a lot of what it looks like in Italy. And dough with fresh, beautiful ingredients on the inside that you can take, roll up, and walk around on the streets in Rimini, now available across the United States. Piada started in 2010 by Chris Duty, who was the son of Sue Duty. Sue worked in this Columbus, Ohio establishment called Lindy's, one of the most famous restaurants in Columbus, Ohio. One of the most iconic courtyards, outside courtyards in the country. The Dutys have been in the restaurant business for decades. They started with Lindy's, then the two brothers, Chris and his brother, opened up the Bravo and Brio restaurant chains. So Italian concepts all over the country. They've since sold those, but Chris went on to start Piada. So this is a family that's been in the Italian restaurant business for decades, focused on hospitality in a number of different areas. Piada now, more than 50 locations across the country. They're in Ohio where they started, Texas, we're in North Carolina right now. They're spreading like crazy, over 50 restaurants. They're opening more and more each year as the growth continues. And the goal for Piada has always been, how do we maintain that same level of hospitality that Sue Duty provided in Lindy's in one restaurant in Ohio, that we can now across 50 plus locations and growing across the United States.
This is the book that Sue Duty wrote, As the Table Turns. One of the things that got really inspired is her pledge. He said, from this day forward, every customer that come within 10 feet of me, regardless of what I'm doing in this house, I'm going to look him in the eye, I'm going to greet him with a good afternoon or a good evening, or what can I do for you? So help me, Sue. It's the legacy that she left, and Chris took it and bring it to Piada. Everything that we do in Piada, we start and we finish with the guests on mind.
The brand, known for hospitality since all the way back at Lindy's, is where we originally got introduced to them to come in and help them scale what great hospitality looks like across the concept. So 3 years ago, we built with Piada and rolled out the Food, Feel, and Flow, the F3 experience, a hospitality training program that's now been live at Piada for 3 years. In a 6-month time frame from rolling out their hospitality program, their NPS scores across the enterprise increased by 50%. 2 and 3 years later, they've been able to maintain that. So they were hovering in the mid-50s from an NPS, and they've been in the 80-plus range for years now because they took a long-term approach to it. So they built it, they scaled it, and they maintained the system as they kept growing. And as Piada thinks about training, that's really one of the most beautiful things about their concept, is that they don't just solve a problem for right now. They focus on multiple things over the long term. So we were just with Piada at their all-employee conference a few months ago. And what's cool about these conferences is it gets everybody together, but their focus isn't singular. They talked about hospitality and how to continue to scale the guest experience. But at the same time, they talked about food and how do we create even more delicious food at scale. They were like making fresh dough live on stage with their head chef. They were doing demos in the kitchen. And then after that, we're talking about leadership development and selecting the right leaders. So there's this balance to everything of knowing that we've got to get a lot of things right. We have to provide a great, excellent guest experience. We've got to have delicious food, and we need an employee experience that's delivering on all fronts. What I appreciate is they get all of those things at the conference. They're talking about all of them. They understand that it takes years to bring these programs to life and bring the results to life, and they're willing to commit the time and energy to do that.
Good, how are you? Good. Thank you very much. Good to see you too.
Thank you very much.
So awesome.
Thank you. We're also not afraid to have a little bit of fun, which is kind of great because we're in a restaurant environment. It doesn't have to be slides and boring content. They're not afraid to experiment a little bit. So Piada has rolled out everything from crazy characters in their training, like Captain Obvious and Miss Manners. I've been hit in the face for the snowball in their training. We've had Coke cans with Mentos exploding. It's all in the name of sticky content and really trying to get employees to enjoy the content a little bit, have a little bit of fun, but ultimately have them remember what it is we're talking about on the line. And so all of this is in an effort to breathe a little bit of life into something, to take it just a little bit further.
And of course, practice good hygiene.
All right, so the overall theme of Piada can be summarized by what our friend Corban Nichols said at their latest conference. The ending theme, his message to the entire leadership team of Piada, was that in order for us to continue doing what we've done for the past couple decades, we have to continue to choose the harder right over the easier wrong. And so many times in our industry, there are easy outs. There are easy decisions to make, to cut corners, to skimp on the guest experience, to not have the best tasting food, to grow at a rapid rate because financiers tell us it's the right thing to do when you're gonna make a boatload of money. Consistently, for decades, Piada has chosen the harder right over the easier wrong. And I think it's a testament to the lesson of their growth. When you're trying to grow the concept or teach your team's concept, is you've got to have a little bit of patience too. You've got to layer over time and build something that lasts. If you can do that, the only thing you've got to remember is to choose the harder right over the easier wrong. My wife says I need greens. I can't just eat pasta and piadas all day. So they have salads too, which are delicious, in case you also need to eat greens.
It's a life concept, Corban, choosing the harder right, restaurants or your diet.
Yeah. I personally had a carbonara pasta today with rigatoni. So I chose a very hard right to taste that food. I mean, I had to just make sure that it was dialed in, our number one seller, that it was good to go for everybody today. But not many leafy greens in that.
It looked good though. It looked good.
Tasted
awesome.
great. Tasted great. I did eat cannoli chips after that salad as a spoiler alert. It was my reward for a little bit of salad. So I went all in. Like, it was great. I think that's the best part of Piada is you've got your guilty conscience food if you want it. You can eat very healthy. There's some sweet treats in the end. It's all great. You've got a wide variety there. It's pretty cool.
It's very cool. Well, speaking of the carbonara, before we even talk hospitality and really the topic of the day, which we're going to talk about today, maybe even next week, you guys had kind of a crazy thing happen in the last week or two. Just fill us in.
Sunday. So Sunday, I was doing my typical scrolly scroll on Instagram, and because
Are you laying in bed?
I was not. I was actually on a couch. I was on a couch, and I'm scrolling, and all of a sudden I see that there is a TikTok that's been reposted to Instagram, and it was from the food influencer Keith Lee. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with Keith Lee, he's this massive food influencer online on TikTok. He started super organically, and he's got 17.5 million followers now. And within a single day, this post that he did organically, like, we didn't contact him or work with him in any way. He just stumbled upon Piada himself, and it had a ton of views after one day, and we are already seeing some of the benefits of it. Really cool.
Like, literally seeing results. You can see the benefits of it from
every day where we've seen our traffic just continue to climb and increase across the system every day. Like, we've been doing very well competitively in the landscape of, like, how many guests are coming through each day, what is our traffic year to date. And within this week already, every single day has been even more positive comps than the day before, starting from Sunday onward, to the point where we are net positive for traffic year to date so far, just because of this week and the influence that's happened. We're now cresting over 6,000 guests up this year versus previous year in same store traffic. And since we were really remaining flat for a while, this is a huge boost, a huge swing of momentum that we're already seeing.
That's wild. From just one random post from a food.
Yeah.
Let's we have it queued up. Let's take a look at his TikTok from TikTok sensation Keith Lee. All right.
Whoever came up with the concept of Piada, I know it's at least 482 pounds, because
I don't mean to call nobody no liar, but at one point, I would say 99.5% of people who do food reviews or do anything when it comes to food in Dallas or has an opinion on food in Dallas was lying. But again, everybody right ain't right to me. Everybody wrong ain't wrong to me, and vice versa. But this lady ain't lying at all. Let me tell you. When I tell you, hold on, it's in the microwave. I had to warm her up. I had to get her nice and warm. When I tell you this, you see I done already went to town. It's carbonara, spicy chicken with the bacon slash bruschetta, or not bruschetta, pancetta, excuse me, with Parmesan cheese. And this thing, again, I have to warm it up so it don't look as good as it did before it was warmed up. But this is a steak and bacon, something wrapped, boy. Fuck out and hand off me. Oh, get away from me. Can't get none of this. Fuck it. Incredible. I got a new place. I'm gonna be up there bothering them people all the time. For sure, you're right on. You're right on for sure. You know when you know. You're right when you're right. I'm with you when you're right. I ain't with you when you're wrong. And right now, you ain't wrong. You ain't never wrong. Boy, I'm about to eat all.
That's it.
It's huge. I mean, it's great just to get something that, you know, a lot of these larger corporations, a little peek behind the curtain for everybody, they pay to have Keith come and review their food or work with them, and to have him just organically do it because of a stitch that he saw online is incredible. So we're already feeling the momentum, and some of the comments that were on that video that I really appreciated were a lot of people saying like, oh no, the best kept secret in Dallas is out, or the best kept secret in Columbus is out. And then another person that said, I work at Piada and this is very bad for me now, because they knew the influx of what was about to come through. So it's just great to be able to see some of this natural traction that's happening associated with a piece of content that's already gone viral this week.
That's wild. And it's just wild that like just this one, just random TikTok of this dude like dancing and like kind of just like talking, like, you know what I mean? Like he even got like half of the words wrong, like and he knew it too. Like that's it's more effective than like a Super Bowl commercial, right? Like hands down more effective than a Super Bowl commercial as for like your actual traffic and sales in like 1 week, which is just, it's mind blowing. But yeah, anyways.
So cool. He does need a salad though. I had the same lunch he had. Got to get some greens in there too. That looked good though.
He had the avocado piata from what I could tell. So I think he got some, arugula, some avocado, some corn.
There you go. Got the greens inside the piata. That's the way to do it.
Keith. Shout out Keith Lee.
Shout out Keith.
Yeah, thank you.
So cool.
So, as Sam mentioned in the beginning, you know, we've worked with you for years. We did this program last week on the show. Sam and I talked about, you know, sort of codifying standards for different brands that we've worked with. That was one of the things that we did with Piada. We worked on developing hospitality standards. Because can you kind of just tell us a little bit about why you guys felt like that was something that needed to happen when you came into the brand, what you saw versus kind of what your vision was of where you wanted to take it?
So my history, I've been in the restaurant industry since I was 14 years old, multiple different organizations, worked primarily in full service as a server, bartender, went into management. And then I joined Chipotle Mexican Grill and worked there for just under 10 years and had the opportunity to work with a lot of people, yourselves included, and wear a lot of different hats. And really what that whole process taught me was that you have to really make the main thing the main thing. You can't just say something and then expect it just to happen. You can't just drop something into the ether and then expect it. You have to inspect what you expect. You treasure what you measure. And so if there's not anything that's behind what it is that you're doing, if you're not actually going and actively watching and paying attention and focusing on what it is, it's just going to get lost. It's going to get lost in the ether, and it's never going to catch on and catch fire. And so the whole idea of when I got to Piada was, we have our 4 core values. And the number one thing was genuine hospitality. As we saw in the video about Sue Duty and Chris, our founder, co-CEO, and Lance, our co-CEO, their whole focus, their whole piece is about how do we provide genuine hospitality to everybody that comes in, whether they work in our organization or they're the guests that are coming in the door. no matter what. That is one of our core values, core four. And what I realized as I was being onboarded and joining the brand, and we were about 37 locations at that time, was we had lost some of the magic from when we were a smaller brand and first started to 37 restaurants of how do you actually do that? And what does that look like? And what we had as far as the debates within our leadership team was, well, do our teams know what genuine hospitality looks like or feels like? Have they been to a place that gives them genuine hospitality? And so many times along this framework of what it is that we do, we think of who are the industry leaders in this and who does the thing the best. And right now there's a chicken sandwich place that everybody feels is the #1 hospitality provider because they say 2 words every single time you say thank you. And that's great. That's awesome. But what I always have to remind people is that the story goes is that for them to get those 2 words set across an entire system, it took 6 years for that to really take hold and become something that continually happens. So these changes don't happen overnight. Luckily, we're a smaller brand. And so we decided that if we want to preach genuine hospitality, we really have to train it. But not just train it, we have to show it and we have to change behaviors. We have to change the adoption of it and get people to understand what that looks like. And so we went through this and I reached out to you both. It was actually just on a whim of saying like, hey, what does something like this look like to be able to do? And we were able to put our heads together and you both really helped support us with developing this content. And since then, the biggest piece of the puzzle, and I cannot overstate this whatsoever, is you have to have the buy-in from your operations leadership. Us as training, us as support, right? There's so much that we can do, we can say, we can craft, we can write, we can make SOPs until we're blue in the face and just keep rolling them out. But if you do not have an operations team that is willing to make it a priority and make it a focus, then you're lost. So how do we get that buy-in? How do we garner that? Well, great relationships is huge, but also one thing that I want to call out is, yeah, we have great videos, micro-learning, all the buzzwords about it. It's sticky, it's edutainment, it's all of those things. But we also went like practical and we just made a little booklet that you can keep on you and it tells you how to give genuine hospitality and what that looks like. And this right here.
We love us a booklet.
A booklet's great. We love a booklet. But what this did was it allowed us to make the main thing and really focus on all of those pieces. So if somebody's not smiling and making eye contact, it's in the book. You can't argue with the book. The book's right there. We don't got to go back to the video. So we thought about it, not just from this perspective, how do we roll something out once and set it and forget it and hope that everybody does it? How do we make it a living part of our ethos? How do we make this a breathing part of what it is that we do across the board?
It's great. And what I love is that you said it about halfway through there, but from the beginning, you weren't just trying to make a book or make a course or make a thing. You were trying to change behavior and scale it across the brand. And I feel like that's such a different mentality because you need operations and you need all those other things, but like your intention from the get-go was fundamentally different than I feel like most training initiatives that end up struggling or failing inside of brands is because they focus on, we got to get a course out there, or we got to push a thing out there, or we got to release a book with random things. That was all the end. Those were like the last 5 things we did was make the book and make a video and make a course. 95% of it, I mentioned up front, working with operations and figuring out how to enable success. To me, that's so different. Why that approach? Why do that versus like what led you to believe to that from the beginning?
If it's just us monitoring and sending out compliance reports, it's not going to move. Period. To me, this is just my real take on it right now. But the worst 4-letter word in training right now is compliance. Like, and I understand that's more than 4 letters, but it is this idea of this checkbox that you just go look and you assume that everything is now going to be in place as a result of it. And so if you're just looking to check a box, you're not looking to actually shift the way that the mentality works. And truthfully, I do believe that if you teach people to take care of people, they're innately going to take care of each other. You're innately going to then create an environment where people are focused on giving a great experience, not just for the people that walk in the front doors, but for the people that walk in the back doors, for the vendors that we have, for the guy that's washing the windows this morning, seeing if he wants a drink before he hits the road. Like, those are those subtle shifts that happen when you buy in. And that is truly what changes the mechanics of what it is that we do. And so if you're just focused on what is the box that we can check to say, okay, good, we've protected ourselves, you're not going to actually do anything. How can you do it in a way where you get the buy-in people because they understand what's in it for them, but they also, you can show them what's in it for those that they don't get the chance to show to frequently. And what I mean by that is not everybody has the opportunity to go to Lindy's and have that experience in the courtyard that you're talking about. How can I transport that to them in their four walls in some level, shape, or form with our behaviors that we have?
That's awesome. So speaking of, I mean, I know, Sam mentioned that one of the cool things is that we started with the results in mind, started with the goal in mind, like the actual behavior change that you were going for, the actual results, the KPIs that you were going for. And as Sam sort of alluded to in the video, you saw some pretty like dramatic results from implementing this program. And I also want to talk about like the rollout and what that looked like, but like, since we're already talking about results, maybe let's just start with that. What was the, can you kind of walk us through some of the actual like numbers that you saw from putting this out there?
Absolutely. And Sam, if you want to put, I shot you through an infographic that you can put up, the same one that was in that video, but we can break it down a little bit more here. If you look at this and in that February on that orange line between January to February 2023, February is actually when we started rolling out the entirety of the system across the board. And so if you see over on those categories on the left, our net promoter score, basically how many people are giving us 4s and 5s versus who's giving us 1s and 2s online. We source it out from every place, from Yelp, Facebook, Google, wherever it is that you're giving reviews. We take them and we source it through that. And so from there, it was, okay, how do we build something that's going to make an impact? Because if you look in 2022, the numbers were pretty average, or below average. They were Ds, they were 50%, they were 60%. And we knew that just didn't speak to who we were as an ethos. So talking through the results, really when we started making this a priority and making this a focus, we saw it start happening right away. And the thing is you can go into any of our restaurants right now, and I promise you, they cannot tell you all of the hospitality standards that are in the book. They cannot tell you everything. It's not memorized. But what we did was we created something where now there was just a natural focus on how do we remove the bad experiences and how do we create more great experiences. Knowing that if we can remove the bad experiences and enhance the great experiences, people will either stop telling everybody else what we did wrong, or they'll start going and being raving fans. And so coming to it from that perspective was so huge. But I do believe that when you show people how easy it is and you make it a focus, and we do incentivize it, it is a part of our bonus structure for our salary team members. Our net promoter score is a part of that. And we're still learning how we can refine it to get even better and better and better. But through that, when you treasure what you measure and you give somebody a reason to want to hit it, you give them a super digestible way of being able to go hit it, and you make it fun and sticky and kind of just like eye rolling, because it's a little cringe at some points, right? When you can give it to them in a way that's that way. Cringe. Captain Obvious. So I was in one of our restaurants last week, and a brand new team member on the front line, I was going through getting an order, and I asked her, how long she had worked there. And she said, "Oh, this is my second week." I was like, "Oh, great. What was your favorite part of your training?" I didn't ask anything about the genuine hospitality program. I didn't ask anything about like the specifics or videos or anything. Just what was the best part of your training? She said Captain Obvious. Captain Obvious was the best part of her training. I've also heard people roll, like you can audibly hear their eyes roll when he comes on screen and starts talking, right? You can hear it. It's divisive, but at the same point in time, you give them a vehicle and a vessel that they remember. It's sticky, like you said before. You give them something that's sticky, it's educational, but it's entertaining. And all of a sudden, they're going to start remembering some of those pieces. And then you make it a focus, you treasure it, you measure it, and then all of a sudden you can see sustained results across the board, like you're seeing now, where this year to date, If you look at 2024 and 2023, we never crested 88% at all. And you look at this year, our third year with the program running, and we have hit 88% net promoter score 3 different months of the year and not dipped back below 84% at all this year to date. And that's just a remarkable accomplishment. Truthfully, when you're looking at consistent 60s and 50s, we didn't move the goalposts. We didn't change how we were measuring. This is all the same exact way. It's just you put blunt force behind it from the perspective of we were going to prioritize it. We're going to make it approachable. We're going to make it attainable. We're going to make it easy. And we're going to incentivize you when you do this.
What I love is that, like, you can see the transition of the rollout here. So that orange line going up is like, it takes time to generate progress in the system. And then you see that dip afterwards where it's kind of like, oh, we did it, which it almost feels like a lot of rollouts then. And you've led a lot of rollouts now over the past few years. And you see it of like, okay, that one's done. What's the next one? On to the next. Is that what happened there in like April to July of that first year after the rollout? It was kind of like, we thought it was over. And then it was like, no, we're really doing it. And then it's a ramp back up. What happened in the dip to the rise again that led to the prolonged success?
It's a great question. So during that time frame, in February and March, we rolled out the training. We went and did a road show. We're a smaller brand if you think about it in the terms of some of the behemoths out there. We're at 62 locations now in 7 states. But at that time that we were rolling this out in 23, we were about 42 locations. So we went and we met with every single partner, every single multi-unit, every single director of operations, and we all sat together in rooms and we watched the training together and we talked about the training. We didn't just watch it, we digested it. We analyzed it. We went through it. What are going to be the pinch points? What are going to be the sticking points? What is going to be hard for us to do? What is going to be the biggest challenge that we have? And then we supplemented that with more tools of how do you monitor this? What does this look like in perpetuity? Then we went to every single restaurant with a projector, a speaker, and a projector screen, and we held all team meetings. This was a significant investment of time and money and resources because we took every single employee across the organization and we started really going through it and figuring out how can we make this a part of our actual reality. From there, when you get into April, into May, that was the point where we had gone to every restaurant, spoke to every individual. We had monitored, we have 100% accomplishment of the course throughout everybody. And that was when we started our next program. We started our summer beverage program then. So now there's a new training that everybody has to take. There's a new focus. Something comes along that's maybe not as shiny or new, but all of a sudden now it's a new focus on top of their day-to-day. And so we saw the dip start happening again because we took our eye off the ball. And so then what we decided to do was how can we layer in our genuine hospitality training, whether it's overtly or subconsciously into every training that we do? How can we give scripts that show what of our focuses, what of our hospitality focuses doing this accomplishes, even if it's something as simple as selling a new item or talking to a guest about something? How can we highlight where this comes back to our genuine hospitality program? Because it's not about raising the top line sales. It is like, obviously we're a business and we want to sell as much great food as we possibly can. But when you go to the movie theater and they're like, yeah, do you want the candy? Do you want this? Do you want that? It's like, enough. I just wanted the drink. I just wanted the popcorn. That's all I want. You kind of get standoffish. But if you can do it from a place where you're teaching your team, hey, do it this way because this gets somebody to understand something, or you're actually going above and beyond, or this is a way that you can invite them back, right? This is a way that you can obsess over the details, whatever the case is. By saying it and compartmentalizing it like that, now all of a sudden we were able to take every training and make it hospitality training. Even though it wasn't about hospitality, it was about a product, it was about a food item, it was about a new SOP. How can we take that and transform it so it all comes back to the root of what we are and what we do? And that's truly when you know you have a core value as an organization.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like these numbers, as we've kind of been saying, are just like a testament to the fact that you built a program, right? Instead of just having training, instead of just videos. And so many people come to us and say like, oh, we want training videos. or we want the booklet. And I know we're kind of repeating the same thing because Sam said this earlier. Like, it's like, oh no, videos are not going to do it. A booklet is not going to do it. It's going to be a program that has structure, a structured rollout with incentives, like you talked about. You guys incentivize this KPI. It sounds like you make it part of the bonus structure. Are there any other elements that you feel like that you guys were really intentional about as far as this, like you mentioned, getting leadership buy-in, you mentioned the regional meetings you had, the incentives. What are some of the other elements that made this like a sustainable program instead of just like another training or just training videos?
Yeah, it's a great question. And so we had to go back and iterate a lot. I mean, I think I blew you both up quite a bit for the years after the course. So we did a couple other pieces to this. We then went back and we translated everything into Spanish. So we took the same courses and through your help using AI, we were able to take the same videos and completely translate them in Spanish with it being able to be understood by somebody that was English second language easily. And I think that was huge as well, because then we were speaking to everybody. On top of that, what we did then was we started realizing very quickly that you got to start building better mousetraps because operators are busy. And as much as we in the support space sometimes want to villainize it, I always look at it as like that spy cat mouse game back and forth of like, how can we make this better so that you don't have the opportunity to abuse the system? Because eventually when you're looking at plenty of these videos that are all micro learning, but when you stack them up, it's a lot. So we were able to start breaking them down even more, figuring out ways that we could start reporting on it even more so. So actually changing the structure of the courses, the structure of the videos to be more digestible. And what we saw from that was that people started retaining it more because now all of a sudden they weren't forgetting things as quickly once they got to the end of the training. They were able to continue to go through it. And lastly, what I'll say is like, we do not over-report, over-compliance our teams at Piada. We have 8 total trainings that we report, 8 total courses and modules within those that we report out on for every new hire across the system every single month. And those are 4 courses basically about how to have a great shift by doing the right thing in the work environment. How do we keep ourselves safe? How do we keep the work environment safe and the food safe and all of those pieces? We have those 4 courses that we talk about. And then our 4 genuine hospitality courses. Because I also know that if I can get you as a new hire to have to take those 8 courses, now you're in the system. Now you're going through it. And I've taken away the barrier of entry. I've taken away how difficult it is to be able to be approachable with it. And now I've given you the most entertaining things up front to where you're finding that you want to go back. It's almost craveable content where it's about engagement. It's about interaction more so than just compliance. I have to go take this on behalf of somebody. Now, don't get me wrong. You will always find somewhere someone is like skirting the rules a little bit and finding a way to get around it. But going and talking to a new hire in that real life scenario of going through the line and them saying my favorite part of my training has been Captain Obvious. You can't coach that. You can't coach somebody to be prepared to say that. That is real. That's one of those like anecdotal pieces of the feedback that really does let you know though that this is living and breathing in the culture and we're doing something right.
That's great. We were talking last week and I feel like you figured out how to crack this in a way that will make sense to a lot of brands. Because as we talked about defining standards last week, we talked about how overwhelming it is once you actually write down everything you mean. Like when I say welcome a guest, what do I mean by that when I say it? If you write it down, it's like 3 or 4 expectations. And when you add up all of your hospitality expectations, if you actually write them down, you're going to have 30, 40 standards that you expect somebody to uphold in order to create genuine hospitality. So that then becomes a very difficult training challenge, which is how do you teach somebody 40 standards just on hospitality? Because if it's like, here's a list of 40 standards, go do it, that doesn't work. So what did you do to break it up? How did you get 40 standards infused in a way that yields the results that you're showing here?
Well, I think the thing that really matters is that you can have 40 things that may exist that impact the experience, but that doesn't mean that you need all 40 to be successful, right? If you nail 4 of those really, really well as an organization for every guest that comes through, and I'm not saying that there's 4 above all or whatever the case is. I mean, we compartmentalize them into buckets, right? Where we're talking about like, how do we let them know that we're there? How do we let the guests know we're there? Like, hey, welcome. We're happy to have you here. How do we show them that we care? How do we keep them coming back for more? We're inviting them back. We're making their first time memorable. All of those key pieces. And then how do we make it right when we do get it wrong? And when you can bucket it into those 4 pieces, it's not that one of those is any better than the other. But what it does truly come down to being is now there are pieces within that yes, you can hit or you can miss. We might not invite every single guest that comes through that. But we know that if we let them know that we're there, if we prioritize them, if we show them that we care, if we make it right, if we get it wrong, we're going to have the greatest impact. So it is about simplifying the 40. It's distilling them down into the buckets, into the categories, and then really just making that the main thing. Because once you can show how easy it is to do that, you might miss 30 of the total standards that we have. But truth be told, if you're doing 40 things to every guest, that's too much. Now you're not moving fast. Now you're taking too long too. So how do you just compartmentalize it and leave somebody with a feeling that they know they were taken care of, they had a great experience, it was easy, it was frictionless, it was seamless, and then they can get delicious, great food on top of it.
That's great. And you break it up as well, right? Like are you teaching all of the things all at one time, or do you stage it over? You mentioned she was there for 2 weeks. Did she get everything in the first 2 weeks, or how do you stage this for new hires?
Yeah, our standard of the training is it's fed to you by the day, right? So based off of the day that you're hired, your first day is your orientation. That is drinking out of the fire hydrant. You're going through a restaurant tour, you're meeting your trainer, finding out about the brand. You're listening to a lot of things. And then the next day is all about genuine hospitality and food. And it's the first thing. It's what do we need to teach you so that people don't have a bad experience? How do we get rid of the bad experience? Because we know that if we put you on the front line, you're not ready yet. You don't know how to roll a piada. You don't know how to toss a pasta. You don't know how to do these things yet. But what are those things that create a negative guest experience? And how do we prevent you from accidentally stepping into that landmine right away? From there, now we can layer it. So we give the leadership team, the chef team, they have a whole guide of what to look for after somebody's done with their training. So it's how do we follow up on that? How do we make sure that they did exactly what they were supposed to do? And what do we still need to work on? And what do we still need to focus on? How can we validate and verify that what's happening is actually happening? What's supposed to be happening is actually happening. And then the day after that, they take the next one. The next day that they work, they take the next one. The next day after that, they take the next one. And each of these places, there's checks and balances to make sure there's a knowledge check. Yes, of course. But truth be told, you can bully a knowledge check. You can cheat on a knowledge check. You can cheat on the exam. I care about what are the actual behaviors that our leadership teams are watching and validating are actually happening in the restaurants.
And what's cool is that the real result, the real manifestation of hospitality standards, which includes not just how you treat a guest, but also, I mean, we talked about food, having safe, delicious food, having a fast line, that's all part of the hospitality experience, right? It was food, feel, flow. It was safe, delicious, consistent food, treating a guest correctly, and also getting people through the line really quickly. And then the results you see is you'll have a team that's ready when a random influencer walks into your store in Dallas. He could have had a bad experience.
And that would have been terrible. It would have been detrimental if he had a bad experience, right? But instead, what is he saying? He's saying, this is my spot. These are my people. I am going to be going back here many times now, for sure. And if we didn't set ourselves up for success by doing this on the front end, if we gave a negative experience, no matter how good the food was, like if you go watch Keith Lee's videos, he had one, I think it was today or yesterday. It was about this patisserie that he went into, about these pastries that were being made. And the whole first 2 minutes of his video is him talking about the owner of how she's doing everything, how she's leading her team, This matters to people. It matters to the people that go and talk about it. It's not just how goes your food. That's table stakes now. You have to have good food as a restaurant brand, as an organization. What is it that you're doing over and above that to make people feel about their experience? How are you getting them their food? What is the way that we're interacting with them? How is it that we're talking to them? And then what are we giving them to come back over and over and over again? And if we weren't doing all of those key pieces, when somebody walks in that's got 17.5 million followers, we're toast. We're toast at that point. We could give and have a negative experience, but they were ready. They were ready to go, and they were good to make it happen. And this is the fruit of it now.
That's great. You are now years into this. Like, how much of a focus is it now 3 years later versus it was a rollout that happened 3 years ago and it's now embedded? Like, where does it stack? I know it's part of the operations now, but how do you all think about it years later after it's been implemented and it's live and going?
It's one of the only things I think about still. And I mean that seriously, because I have the pleasure of being able to attend a lot of our new restaurant openings where we do still show this training in the same way that I'm talking to you about it now, where it's not all at once. We stage it throughout the multiple days of the training and the opening. And then being able to see it come to life is great. Hearing the groans when Captain Obvious comes on or announces about an acronym, it's a very inside joke for anybody that's watching this right now that doesn't know what we're talking about, but at the same given point in time, it really is cool. It's an acronym: BLAST, believe, listen, apologize, solve the problem, and thank the guest for coming to you with it. And then you got to give them a little bit extra to keep them coming back for more, because it's not just about fixing the problem now. It's about getting them to come back again. And I'm able to quote this because it's all I think about. When I'm watching the guests come into our building, when I'm looking at the line, when I'm talking to people, I model this behavior, and it's still 50% of all of the things that we actually send out monthly reporting on. It doesn't mean that we're not rolling out new initiatives. It doesn't mean that we don't have new things that are important to us. These are the pieces. These are the things that actually matter. And so being able to take and use this is so significant from that perspective. And when you keep it front of mind and you keep the main thing, you major on the majors, that is what allows you to have these driven results. You don't get results passively. Well, technically, any result that you get is done by just the actions that you have, for sure. If you want different results, you have to have different experiences that change the beliefs fundamentally of the organization. And that was everything that we wanted to do. How do we give a different experience when it comes to hospitality and training that can give us something different from a result perspective?
I love that. And I love just the mentality of it just takes long-term consistency. Because we all know that in our lives. We know that in our real lives, but it's hard sometimes to remember that in business or in a job or a career or an organization, where you were talking about how it took 6 years for Chick-fil-A to become to get to the My Pleasure, the place of My Pleasure. Oh, sorry.
I never said it. The chicken sandwich place. Yeah.
Chicken sandwich place become My Pleasure. And you guys you're saying years after implementing this program, it's still top of mind to you. It's still the thing that you are hammering home. And I mean, I think about another place that we all worked at, the burrito place, if we're not naming places. And I mean, it was about speed, right? And that's because we had some high level operators, our chief operating officers were that's all they talked about. It was just throughput, speed, to the point where you could walk into any Chipotle and there would be this long line at the door. And I heard this so many times. I would walk up to a long line and people would be in the line and they would turn to the person next to them and be like, "Oh, don't worry, it goes fast. It's okay. We'll get through this really fast." People just knew, but it took years of just consistent hammering it home, just like you're talking about.
Well, and you look at these organizations now, and you look at these different our competitors, but ourselves as well. We're not immune to this, and fast is the standard. If you're a fast casual, if you're a quick service restaurant, that's the standard. Those are greens fees. You have to have them. If I pull into a chicken sandwich place and there's 2 drive-through lines that converge and I got people all the way around the corner taking my order at my car, and I'm still a mile away from the window, I'm doing that because I know it's fast. I know I'm going to get what I want to get. I know that the food is going to be good, right? It used to be that model where you had the three things. You had cheap, fast, and good. You get to pick two. That's not the case anymore. You have to have all three. You have to have it. You have to be affordable. You have to have a value associated with your product that you're selling, the food that you're giving. It has to be fast. People aren't going to wait at lunch. You have a grand total of 180 minutes, essentially, every day to get the majority of the guests through the line. If you're not fast in those 180 minutes, you lose guests. You cannot grow your business. You cannot scale your business to the most effective, optimized way. So you have to remove the friction. You have to remove those points. But if you don't do it in a way that makes people feel good about it, they're not going to keep coming back. The quickest way that you can scale your business, the quickest way that you can increase your traffic, the quickest and cheapest way that you can do all of this is just by being nice to the people that are already there and get them to come back more frequently. It's the cheaper way than going and finding and advertising and getting a lapsed guest, whatever the case is. That's still important. We still want to attract and go back and find a way to recover anybody that we lost. But the quickest way to scale is by having the person that's already in your building come back again tomorrow. And that's why we use the example. When I was working the front line at Chipotle, when I was on cash at Chipotle, my line to everybody was like, see you tomorrow. And they'd laugh because it was a little tongue in cheek, but I meant it. And you'd be surprised at how many people I'd see the next day then and be like, oh man, I told you I'd see you today. And then all of a sudden it was a completely different experience there. And it's not scripted. It wasn't a standard. It wasn't a my pleasure where people like when I go to the chicken place, I try and trick them to say my pleasure to things that aren't thank you. Like I'll be like, you rock. And they'll be like, my pleasure. Boom. It just like blows because it's not genuine. And when genuine hospitality is your core value, genuine, not just hospitality, not just exceptional hospitality, genuine hospitality, something that is a true reflection of who we are as people that are working in the brand and for the business, and being able to relay that in a way that is genuine and of who we are. It's not about scripts at that point. Now it's just about how can we intersect with you so that you understand how valuable you are to the people coming in and they feel it.
It's so good. I stole your line 2 days ago. I was working in a pizza shop and these guys came in and we were talking about work and they were in the office and they never come to the office. So they came in and they're like, oh, we're starving, but we got to get back. And I was like, I'll see you after your next meeting. I shortened your time frame from see you tomorrow. They came back 2 hours later and they're like, we've been thinking about it. And it was really good. So 2 hours, I feel like that it's a hack. It works. Plant the seed.
Inception. It's inception.
Inception. Speaking of the the chicken sandwich place and the line there, my pleasure, my son, I told him, I don't know if this is even true, but I told him years ago that like, if they don't say my pleasure, that they're supposed to give you like a free sandwich or give you your meal for free. I don't know where I heard that. I feel like I heard that somewhere and I told my kids that, which, I lie to my kids. I lie to my kids all the time.
Yeah. What?
Make stuff up. I just tell them
you
stuff.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. And so like for years, he's been like trying to get them. And like there's been some times when we've gone to like our local chicken sandwich shop and they didn't say my pleasure. And look at me like, like, what do we do? And I'm like, no, we don't.
No, man. Yeah. No.
He's like
That's
ready.
They're having
He's like
a very
ready to be like, where do we just tell them? Do we sign up? Is it online? How do we get the free sandwich? They didn't say it. And that was like, for some reason, that was like a real thing that I believed for a while too, which is probably why I passed it on. But yeah, anyways, I don't know. So that's a thing. People are paying attention. People are paying.
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard a lot of different stories about that place in my past, so I don't want to regurgitate them not knowing what is true or not. But what I do know that is straight from the horse's mouth is it took 6 years to get that fundamentally locked in. And so you can't make change overnight, no matter how large you are. And what we always say as our organization, what our VP of operations, Tim Premier, says, he's an awesome operator. What he does is he always tells everybody, we're not a jet ski anymore. We're not 10 restaurants. We're not a jet ski. We're a tugboat. And at some point, we're going to become a tanker. takes time to move and point into a new direction. And if you want to do it, you have to keep your foot on the gas and you have to keep turning the ship. And if you take your eye off of that and you just expect the wind to start pushing you in a direction, it's just not what's going to happen.
That's awesome.
Exactly right. That was the old Duffyism from Chipotle. It was relentless pressure consistently applied.
Yeah. Consistent,
over.
gentle pressure over and over. That's what it is.
Well, Corban, thank you so much for joining us for the weekly show for Training Simplified Live. Really appreciate you just kind of walking through the rollout and kind of the elements of this rollout. It's really cool to hear. Also walking us through those results. Like it's just it's been a pleasure for us to get to partner with you over the years on a variety of projects and specifically this one. And we look forward to doing more of it and just continuing to see those results like kind of just keep sustaining. And I think it's just a testament to your commitment to that relentless pressure over time of just keeping it going. Like you said, you think about it consistently and we see that in the results that you shared with us. So well done. Kudos to you.
Thank you. Couldn't have done it without your support, without your help. I mean, we are a small, scrappy team. And if I tried to bully everything that we did by myself or with our small team that we had at the time that we rolled it out, it would have been impossible. It was challenging enough to take it and facilitate it out the way that we did. But it's that first round of investment that you have. And just if anybody out there is looking for a way to sell something into their leadership, just remind them that the investment now pays off tenfold in the end. I think that we're a great example of how that works.
It's awesome. Well, spoiler, everybody, Corban's going to be joining us again next week. Sam's going to be on location with one of our clients because we actually do work. We do work. We know we go live every Wednesday, but we also do things. Sam's going to be with one of our clients next Wednesday. One of our partners doing some work on site, and so it's going to be me and Corban next week running the show. So
I love it. I'm excited.
Everyone. I know we said we were live on LinkedIn for the very first time, and which we're stoked about. So we're going to be live again on LinkedIn. We're going to be live here on Zoom. We're live on YouTube. We're everywhere. Training Simplified Live. Thank you everybody for joining us. And hopefully we'll see you all again next week.
W's in the chat.
Bye. I was waiting for Sam. Sam, would you like to say goodbye? You got 1 minute.
Bye, everybody. I was ending the live streams on all the other channels.
He's running tech.
Trying to time
tech support over here.
So I was ending the live streams and other